Why is the press to handstand so difficult? Well, I'm here with Gabo Saturno, who has one of the best press to handstands I've ever seen, and today we're gonna tell you about the 4 areas that most people are missing. Alright, so the first area is flexibility. Most people are missing flexibility for the press to handstand because they can't even touch the ground. And actually, that was my case in the beginning, and that's why I did press to handstand through a planche basically. And I would say that a reasonable flexibility is when you can touch the ground with your palms. If you can do that, you'll be able to do the press in a straddle much more easily. And the wider the straddle is, the easier it gets, because obviously you can reach the floor much more easily. And if you do the press from the straddle, I always say that if you can bring your hands in line with your feet, you can compress and do the press. Gabo, what's your take? As a superhuman who is super flexible, tell us something that helps people to get more flexible.
So you can definitely achieve the press without flexibility. Let's say that you can only get up to here. You can probably bend your knees and you can have your hands super forward. It's still a straight arm press because your arms are straight. But again, like he said, it's gonna be like a planche and it's gonna look pretty bad. And it's not only that it's gonna look pretty bad, but you're gonna require way more strength than it is actually needed. So the less flexibility that you have, the more strength that you're gonna be needing. The more flexibility that you have, you basically need like 0 strength. For me, since I'm very flexible, for me, the press is almost effortless. As soon as I strengthen my arms, my feet just float, and I just need to finish the movement. So basically, work on your hamstring flexibility as much as you possibly can. It is not a requirement. You can use a strength, but again, the more flexible you are, the easier the press will be for you.
That's what you need to strive for, because I can talk from my experience that if you're not flexible enough, you have to put more strength in it. It's gonna be more difficult. You can always balance this out, but I would prefer to be more flexible, and it's gonna be way easier. And you can do even like not just once, but do like 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right, that's it. Let's move on.
So the second point about the press to handstand is having enough compression strength. Now, compression is simply getting your torso as close to your legs as possible. This will be basically compression or passive, which is what we just talked about the hamstring flexibility, but we want compression strength, which is our ability to lift our legs using our hip flexor muscles and being able to get the legs as close to our torso as possible. We can do that. Cramps are totally normal, especially on the hip flexors. We're good? Yeah. So that's part of the process, having those cramps. Don't push it too hard. So we're gonna be showing you one exercise that we believe is gonna be the best one to build that compression strength, because it works on that end range position, which is that closest position or the starting position of the press, which is seated leg lift. So how you do it, you put your hands forward, point your toes, legs fully straight. A micro bend is not allowed here. Simply lift your legs, and then you come down 1 inch from the floor, 1 inch, and then you go back. You wanna make sure that you're not rocking back as you do this. Yeah, that's not. You wanna keep that compression as much as possible. If that's too hard, you simply bring your hands backwards and you do the same thing. You wanna shoot for 10 to 15 reps with a hole at the top. I'm killing you today.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
And stop. And if this is still too hard, you're gonna bring your hands behind you and you can do the same with one leg at a time. That should be enough for many people, especially if you lack the hamstring flexibility. So combining that with the previous point of stretching your hamstrings is really gonna build that passive compression and that active compression strength.
You guys already know this. I have a video about it. Everybody commented that they hate that exercise. You're always gonna hate that exercise, but it's pretty effective. The boy said,
do it. We'll see you on the next one. The third point would be to incorporate headstand presses, which is a fantastic exercise to teach you the correct pelvis and leg movement for the handstand press.
That's right, but you don't have to do it like this because you need to be super flexible to do this. It's gonna be later on. As a first step, we recommend the gymnast type, triangle, hands on the floor, press to headstand. You need to place your hands shoulder width or a little bit wider. The point is to keep your elbows above your wrists and have a perfect triangle, as you see, the two hands and the head on the top. And from here, you can start with a tuck. So actually placing your knees on your arms, and you already have the compression here, and you can just slowly go up, hold it, and come back. That will be the first step. Later on, you can do the straddle. Here, you need to use more the compression that you've used before. You always need to strive to start in a closed position as much as possible, and from there, the widest the straddle is in the press, the easier the exercise is. And the last one is when you do the full press with knees extended perfectly, pointed toes. Always you need to strive to compress from the abs and the hip flexors. All right, and lastly, let's say you have the flexibility, you want to start the press, you lean forward, and this happens, then you need to work on straight arm scapula strength.
And there is no better exercise for the scapula strength than holding the pike position with full elevation and actually doing it more dynamically with the handstand shrugs. And if this is too easy for you, then you simply come down, you move on a up progression towards the wall, and you'll be doing, again, chest to wall handstand holds with full elevation, trying to get those shoulders to touch the ears as much as you can, and also doing dynamic reps, 10 to 15, even with a hold. So you can do a combination of reps and holds.
And once you have the flexibility, the compression, the press to headstand, and the straight arm scapula strength, you can do press to handstand walks in straddle or in pike, and you can do it also backwards.
And if you want something more intense, this is one of my favorite exercises. You find an elevation, you put your hands, you keep your arms fully straight, and you simply push, keeping your arms straight, and try to get as high as possible. Now, that's really, really hard. At the beginning, you might look like this, so don't get discouraged. And over time, try to increase that range of motion and get higher and higher.
And don't forget, nothing is better than practicing the movement itself, and the elevated presses can help you with that perfectly. Alright guys, so that's it. We hope you liked this video and learned something new. Subscribe to Saturno Movements channel. If you haven't subscribed it here already, subscribe here, like, share, comment, you know what to do, and see you next time.
You're going to be able to use those hip flexor muscles and actively get those legs as high to your chest as possible, which is going to transfer eventually to the press. Cramps are normal, cramps in the abs are normal, especially cramps in the...
Wait, I have a huge cramp.
Also, the cramp is real.
Oh, it's so funny. That's never happened to me before, actually.
Really?
That only this muscle was just like flexing.
I was like, abs are normal, but that never happened to me either. I was like, I mean, I guess it's normal, fuck. Like, cramps are normal. No, it's for real, boy. It's real.